I struggle with full color. It's either too bright, too garish, too dull. I just can't seem to get it right. So you're going to show us how to do that in watercolor today.
Yep, I'm going to show you the right way. So it's very easy. I'm going to show you, just everybody can do it. Yeah, so I think everybody can do that. This is actually, I think I've been painting for a long time, and so the usually before I start painting, I want to break it down just to give you an idea of how I approach the painting. And typically, it's not the color; it's actually when we get down to it, it actually comes down to simplification, simplifying what is it that you're trying to paint, and then once you have that, then you could actually using the three values, simplify to dark tone, mid-tone, and light tone. And then once you have that, then we can do a value study and use that as your as my guide. So that way you could work with the color. This way it will actually prevent you from doing all the getting into the detail too fast. So this way we could build that from the ground up. So I'm gonna switch camera so that way you could see what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what you are looking at, and this is. Can you see me, Eric?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the image that I use for reference. So as you can see, just want to make sure that you can see all that. So this is the main composition, if I can put it right here. So if you break this down to dark tone, which is over here, and then your mid tone, which is right around here, and your light tone is just this shape right here. So this way, we are just focused on just the big shapes and simplify this complicated scene into something that we could all relate to, and we could identify that easily. So before I start, I'm going to start using this as my reference and do a value study. And I'm going to put this right over here. And typically, I would do it using these Vine charcoal, because they're actually very easy to work with. And if you look at that, you'll see that there's a kind of a wedge right here, that V shape, side V shape. So by doing that, I could actually establish the look. I mean, the big shapes where this big shape is. And then the light shape, which is kind of sitting right around here. And then, as I mentioned before, I have my light right here. This is going to be my light shape. And then my mid-tone shape is actually right around here. So if I have that established, and I'm going to change the composition slightly. So this way, it actually helped me to break this complicated scene into something that I could easily look at and said, oh, this is my mid-tone, this is my light tone, and then now I just have to add my dark tone, which is here. And I wanted to kind of keep a simplified versions of this. So this way it can be identified easily. And the way I actually wanted to, I don't want this to, I want my focal point to be right around here. And the most colorful area is going to be right around here. And remember, I mentioned about color. Color actually comes later. But the value is actually the one that drives all your painting. So to before I start painting, this is something that I want to do, and this is the simple composition I like to set up, and I will start right away. And I think this extra tree is just it breaks up the space too much, so I decided to leave out that tree, and I like how this is going to be my focal point. And if my focal point here, I wanted to make this a little bit more interesting by adding more interest over here. So this will be my focal point. And then all this is going to lead my eyes to my focal point. And of course, don't forget my light tone, my mid tone, and my dark tone. So this way I have all my elements, what my major component of my composition worked out. And the next thing I'm going to do is start painting. I mean, just using this as my value as my guide, and then use that as my value, my color information. Now it's about time to transfer the drawing from the basic shapes into my watercolor paper. And this is actually quite easy to accomplish, and because I don't put a lot of drawing, I don't spend a lot of time drawing, because the more drawings I have, it actually holds me back, because I have to I feel like I have to match the drawing. So this way, I just have to make sure the big shapes are in the right place. So this way, I can identify my darks, my midtone, and then my light tone, which is this shape right here, and this is going to be my focal point, and this is my just another tree that another shape here to balance the composition. So this is enough for me to start the painting. And I realized the more drawing that I have put down, it will not help me to, it'll help me. I mean, the more detailed my drawing is, the harder I'm going to be able to look at the whole composition. So this way, actually, it's a lot easier for me to keep everything simple. Okay. And so this is the value study that I follow. And usually when I start my painting, with watercolor, it's a lot easier for me to start from light to dark. I would start from the sky, and then this is the most colorful area right here. And then these are the dark mid-tone. So I'm gonna work my way from background to midground to foreground. Okay. And so I use these, actually I use a combination of these two are traditional watercolor mop, and these two are Chinese calligraphy brushes, and this is a Hake brush, which I use to when I lay down these flat wash. So because we only have an hour, I wanted to make sure I can get as far as I can. I decided not to wet the paper.
And tell us why.
What was because if I wet the paper, it takes a lot longer to dry, and I guess with watercolor you kind of have to fight the time. If it's too wet, it takes a long time, and if it's too dry, your paint dries so fast that it's very difficult to get a smooth wash. So in this case, I'm gonna go straight to painting. So which is this color, this shape right here, the light shape. I got rid of the sky's going to be light, and then the ground is going to be light as well. So, but it's a cooler color. So, and because it's light, I can just go straight to that. And I usually like to mix a big puddle of color, and then from here, I actually shift the color a little bit because you can see the color up here. It feels a little bit more, has that yellowish to it, and then this is kind of have a purplish to it. So what I'm doing is I would just mix a big puddle. And then from here, I'm actually going to add a little bit of the warmer color. So it will be slightly warmer up in the sky. So there's a lot of different colors, the transition of different temperature. So this part right here, I'm not too worried about it. But the color right here, I have to be really careful because I don't want other color to. So I'm actually gonna slowly using water to make the color from blue to lesser color. And now
Reba would like to know what kind of a hake brush, is it Hakey brush you're using, because the hair keeps falling out of hers.
Oh, yeah, just keep using that because eventually it's going to stop because, yeah, it happens when a lot of these calligraphy brushes, they actually start to shed. But then if you keep using those, eventually it will stop.
All right, good advice.
And yeah, so again, because the way the brush is a little different than these traditional watercolor brushes, is that the hair is the same length from here to here. So what happened is it will allow me to have a totally like flat brush if I paint, but then it actually can, if I can shape it a little bit, this actually becomes a round brush. So this way it's actually very versatile for me to use this. And I like to, especially in the first wash, I try to keep it lighter because I can always go darker.
But it's hard to go lighter.
Yeah, once it gets too dark, it's just very difficult to get that back. So, and also the way I lay down the brush, it's actually I like to have a more spontaneous brush stroke. I mean, if you're too slow, sometimes you work at the way you use a brush or the way you put down if you go back and forth with a small brush, it doesn't have that flat and the confidence stroke that you can create with these bigger brush.
I'm just going to come in for just a second, Young. There are some people who joined us midstream. Facebook wasn't working for us this morning, so we're live on YouTube, and now Facebook is working. So if you guys joined us because you didn't see the beginning of the show, our guest is Yong Hong Zhong, who is a fabulous watercolorist in the west of the United States. Okay, Young is going to teach us how to do fall color.
Yes, for those of you that just got here, basically this is going to be my reference photo right here. And then from here, I did using that reference, I did a value study based on that to break that down to 3 values: your dark tone, your mid-tone. I mean, your dark tone right here, your mid-tone, and your light tone of the sky. So, and then from there, I used that value study to help me to identify those big shapes. And then I would use my reference photo for color only. And then it's toward the end when I use when I'm doing the polishing part. That's when I use the reference photo for informations. So yeah, so right now I just put a light wash of the sky, and then for the sky and the ground. And also, this is going to be my center of interest, where all the colorful, most of the beautiful foliage, beautiful color foliage is going to be happening right here. And then toward the upper part and the lower part right here, these are the color. It's still there, but they are not the most vibrant color. So the most colorful happens right around here, and this is my center of interest right here. So I'm going to put all the emphasis on here, and then gradually the color's going to taper off. And then while I'm waiting for this layer to dry, I want to make sure that the paint settle, because if I'm not, because I'm not doing a full-on wet on wet, so the first layer I want to allow enough time for like, for example, right around here, if I charge another color, the colors can interact, and if there's too much water, and it's going to push paint around. So I don't want that. I just want to stick to my plan to make sure that I know my light tone. So right now, this is my light tone. And then now I'm going to start working on this area. This is the most colorful area. And this is, and while I'm waiting for this to dry, I can clean my palette.
Do you use a hair dryer normally?
I sometimes I do if I'm in a hurry, like if I'm doing a demo for my class and I feel like I'm in a hurry. But I guess the dryer makes the paint dry differently. So I just want to dry it normally. So if possible, I just like to keep it let it dry naturally. Okay, another Chinese calligraphy brushes. So this time I'm going to dip into the colorful area, which is right around here. And with watercolor, I just want to go, if I can hit it with one time, that's the best. I don't want to go back and forth and keep adding color. If I can just mix it just about right for the first time, then I don't have to worry about going back, and the more each time you go back, it just gets more. You're gonna make the color a little bit more duller, and eventually you're gonna kill the color. So this is my way of just getting the right color for the first time.
You're looking for a stained glass effect. You want that white to show through, get that vibrancy.
Yeah, because I mean that I think with especially with watercolor, there's something about it's not, it's that translucency, it's just difficult to get.
William is asking how many years you have been painting.
Been painting since I was a kid. I grew up in China, so I love art, and even back then I didn't have any color, but I was drawing with twigs and sticks, and so yes, I've been painting for a long time. So this way, I have different variations of color now. You can see that the color is going to be most vibrant as it goes further that way. It's actually starts to not as, the color will not be as bright, but you can feel the color is going to be slightly less saturated. And then going this way, I want to give it kind of a yellowish, a little bit cooler.
So when you're painting colors like this, do you have to make sure your water's clean all the time?
Only around this time, like only this is the time when you really have to keep your colors clean. And but most of the time when once you're done with, because this is the most vibrant color, and I want that. I want to maintain that. So this is the part where I want to keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah.
But after that, I could go in there. I can use this puddle. I mean, because the color is so precise. Like I don't want any other color when the first wash that I did earlier. I only once it gets down here, I decided to add water, so that way there's no color. This is the white of the paper, so this way I can really keep the color as bright as I can.
So there's
now
a
I'm
question
waiting.
that Sandra Woods is asking, could you tell us the orange and yellow pigments on your palette?
This is a cadmium orange, and this is a God. I don't know color. I mean, I just look at that. I know I only recognize as warm and cool. This is cadmium red, cadmium orange, and if this is, I believe this should be cadmium yellow medium. So, but I could be wrong. But when we're painting, a lot of times I don't know the name of the color. I just kind of look at that and look at that. Oh, this is a much warmer red than that. So yeah, sorry. I can look it up later.
That's all right. All right, good.
So while I'm waiting for this to dry, I guess some of the areas dry, and you can see that this area it's not dry enough. You can see the edges are getting the paints are pushing into that, which is actually nice because sometimes you want to have a little bit of these softer edges. And this is the thing with watercolor. And as much as you want to have control, oftentimes you don't have 100% control over that. But at the same time, you just have to kind of learn to adjust and kind of go, I guess, roll with the punches. So now I think this is dry enough, and especially toward the edge of the paper, I can go in there and start mixing a darker color. So remember, this is the value study that I did. So I'm going to start out with using this same exact puddle, and then mix a color that with a similar value as this, and then I'm going to hit it. I'm going to try to hit it as at least like one time if possible, or twice, and not like back and forth. So this is the part where you just have to. And oftentimes, it's not really. I don't look at like so fixated on the type of paint that which color that I go with, and I would just randomly look at the color and to see, to get an idea, like, oh, is it dark enough, and if it's dark enough, then is it how intense is the color? So I feel like, oh, well, this is a bit too. This is the value. It's about right, but I feel like the maybe I could make it a little bit more saturated. So this way I could gauge. Oh, okay. So wow, this is pretty strong now. So I feel like, okay, now this is working now. And then on this side right here, I'm gonna make it a little bit cooler. So you can see within this two different color, but one side is a little bit cooler. This side is warmer, which is that's what I'm going to do, make this side warmer and this side cooler because it's further back there. So, and also I always like to mix a big puddle so I have more than enough to cover the area. So this way you can see that I'm pushing my color. Now toward the end, to the bottom right here, I'm gonna actually, it turns a little bit cooler, more of a greener color. So you can see that. So let's get going. So using this to so now toward, as it comes down, it gets slightly warmer, but then it's not, it's actually more green and slightly darker. And then I know this area, I'm gonna go back with my darks. Okay, so I'm ready. I'm waiting. While I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm gonna continue to work on this side. And the way I lay down my brush work is, I know my big shapes are here, so I'm not too timid. I'm not too worried about the exact, I'm not trying to match that. I'm trying to create the feeling of that. So as long as I have where I know where my big shapes are, it does not have to be the exact location. So this actually frees me from having to worry about matching the drawings.
You guys got a question, put it in the comments.
So now I'm gonna hit this shape right here.
Somebody's asking where the photo was taken.
Actually, it's taken very close to where I live. It's actually, if you live in Tiger, you would know. It's actually next to Home Depot. I think you.
Yeah,
you
next
know,
to any Home Depot, you can find a scene like that. Yeah. He's in Portland, Oregon, in that area. The brushes look like they had a lot of water. Do you dry them with a towel or sponge before loading the paint?
Actually, I don't usually dry my brush. I just because all the colors are they're very close to each other. They're talking to each other, meaning they're relating to each other. So I could just go here and get that. So I don't really clean my brushes, but once I'm done with my mid-tone, then actually I go in there and start cleaning my brush and change the make sure that I have the colors are a matching.
Where do you find good calligraphy brushes?
You can find there's a website called AsianBrushPainter.com that I buy a lot of my brushes from there. So now I have my light tone, my mid tone down. So I just have to, this time I have to wait until these wash dry before I hit my darks, because if I don't do that, then the edge is gonna lose all the shapes. So while I'm doing that, as much as I don't like to use a dryer to dry it, so I could actually start work
I'll
on.
tell you what, I need to take a quick break anyway, so I'm going to take you off camera for a second. You can use your dryer, and we won't have to experience the noise.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thanks, Eric. All right, so this is dry. Certain area is still kind of wet, but that's okay. So I use a dryer. It's a lot quicker, and so at this point, the painting is not finished. I mean, in order for you to see, like, to judge a painting, whether is it done, like, oh, it's not going. Don't like prematurely judge your painting, because I have not put my dark shapes in there yet. So the idea is put your light tone, your mid tone, and your dark tone all in, and then you'll be able to tell, like, oh, did I capture that? Am I going the right direction? But so far, I feel like this is going the right direction. I like, there's a lot of color variations. There's like the orange, the red, the pink, the green. All these are harmonious. They're talking to each other. Even the reds here, it's kind of like a purple. It's on the red family, but definitely it's all within that. So, and then by contrast that with the blue. So right now I'm gonna mix a darker tone. So my dark tones, remember, is these dark tones right here. And so you can see these are the darks. And hey, you know, I don't like to waste paint, right? So I'm gonna use whatever I have here. This is a paint gray, which I actually like to use quite a bit. And so it's kind of a so because I have some red color that I didn't clean my palette, and now this thing has more of a warmer tone. And if I do the same thing, but I add a little bit more, so this actually gave it a lot more red than this one. And then if I use this area right here, you'll be able to tell that you can get a variety of dark. I mean, you have your cooler blue, dark blue over here, and then you have my warm red, which you can see a lot over here. So you can see there's a lot of, even within the darks, there's like color variations in there too.
It's interesting that you rehearse your brush strokes before you lay them down.
The same way when I do calligraphy as well, you try to, you think about it and then you just hit it. And I like to kind of keep that same energy that I have earlier. And allow your brush to kind of create some interesting mark rather than just make it, don't try to control too much.
That's me trying to control everything.
Right, like the more you trust your brush, or your when you put down your like make it like once. Don't like go back and forth, and you'll be able to tell that if this artist is confident, or like you could see that just the way an artist put down the marks, that you really like when you put. I think this has a lot to do with the way the Chinese, when I was practicing calligraphy, I mean, you can't like go back and forth, and you have one chance to do it. You do it, and then you trust that it's gonna be fine. And whatever you have, it's what you got. So,
Interesting to watch this come together.
So don't be afraid to be more expressive with your color. I mean, with your brushwork, because the more you worry about the details, it's going to bog down on the way you paint, and the more you're confident about your brush, it will actually come across like you have, like you really allow that brush to work for you. And these the foliage, the foreground, it's better to indicate that. It's better to suggest, not try to paint every little every leaf that you find. It's just allow that some of the those mark making to be a little bit more random. I'm looking for my palette knife.
Palette knife, using a palette knife and watercolor?
Yes, I am going to get a palette knife too.
Oh, I've never seen that in my life.
So I have this palette knife right here. So what I'm doing is actually creating like additional to bring out the lighter, like some textures, because I think oil, we have like oil painters, they have a lot of texture to work with, but watercolor, I feel like this is one way for me to add some texture to that.
Careful, don't rip the paper.
Oh, I've had that happen before. That's why I'm using a 140 pounds, so it's pretty safe to do that. Like in the past, I've used 90 pounds, and and that actually had happened before. So
Do you ever paint with your palette knife? I mean, do you ever dip it in the paint and then try to make like a tree trunk or something?
that I have never done that before.
Yeah, let's try it right now. Let's just see if we can pull it off. All right.
You know what? I'm gonna try, right?
All right. Let's see. We like to look at that.
Like really super fine line, like thin line, but it's difficult to pick up the color.
Yeah, it seems to be. Works better with oil.
No,
at least you had the guts to try it.
Hey, you know, I often tell my students to try different things, keep an open mind, and so yeah, I'll try anything, you know. And
Somebody said it works. You can use a credit card to do the same thing.
Yes,
It might stick better to a credit card because it's not a metal surface.
I'm gonna. Well, with water, I mean, because it's water based, it doesn't have the thickness, so it.
Yeah.
I guess it. Okay. So now, this is the stage where you have to stop and think about, okay, so did I get the feeling that I'm looking for, and what needs work? And this is the part where rather than just continue to dive in there and add more details, you have to step back and think about, okay, well, my initial goal is to make the color more, show that full color. And I feel like, wow, I think I got the feel of it, but I want to push it a little bit more. So this is the second time that I'm actually gonna add even more intense color to a certain area.
I want to point out to everybody while you're getting your color ready that when you put those darks against the light color, it's going to make it stand out a lot more. So that's very effective.
Yep.
Yep.
And I really like to push that color.
Loving this. If you guys tuned in late, like Andy, who just said he tuned in late, the full program will be on YouTube. We had a little false start with Facebook this morning, but we're learning how to paint full color and watercolor, and our guest is Yong Hong Zhong. And you're going to be on the faculty of Watercolor Live.
That's correct.
What are you going to be teaching? Something completely different, I assume.
Yes, it's something different. Something, also another favorite of mine. So another favorite subject of mine. So yeah, be sure to sign up for that too.
You know, one of the things that I think is really interesting is I've discovered that this is a transformation event. And what I mean by that is we're seeing people's whose lives are transformed because, you know, if you attend a workshop or something once in a while, every few months or a couple times a year for your whole life, I mean, that's very helpful. But where you get your transformation is from immersion. And when you're immersed in Watercolor Live for like 3 days, it is, you come out of there ready, you know, you're ready. And then you're going to really work it and improve. And then following year, you come back and you're going to be ready to go to the next level.
Absolutely.
A lot of people on here have gone several times.
Especially when you see like all these different artists and how it's very inspirational.
Well, yeah, and there's so many different approaches to watercolor. You know, there are some people who, like you, paint in a kind of a looser, more, dare I say, runny, you know, watercolor style. And then there are others who paint very, very tight, very controlled. And everybody's got something that they can teach you.
Yep.
Yep.
How much time do I have, Eric?
I'm going to give you 5 more, and then I'm going to pull the plug. What do you think?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Working on it.
And you can always post the finished painting later.
Oh yeah. I actually do my daily posting on Instagram and Facebook as well.
All right. How did we live without those? Although I had more time when I wasn't checking social media.
That's true. So now I'm going to add a little bit of cooler, the green in the back right around here. I'm going to put, this is more like a glaze.
All right.
Because so that it kind of contrasts with the red that I have over here. Again, this is just my initial block in, and of course the you can take it as far as you can, and depending on your personality and your style, and some artists actually go all in, and they and for me, I just wanted to get the put all my emphasis on the focal point, and then the rest I want to suggest that to my audience rather than just show them everything.
Well, and then you'll get into how you fully develop a painting on Watercolor Live. That'll be good.
Oh yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, I think we're going to pull the plug here.
Yep.
And have you come back on camera real quickly.
Absolutely.
All right. So if you're new to us, we're Art School Live. We're here every day at 12 noon. Our guest today is Yong Hong Zhong. You did a fabulous job. And everybody give thumbs up, applause, and shares. That's always helpful. And we're excited to have you on Watercolor Live. That's going to be really cool.
Yes, make sure to sign up. It's a fun event.
It is a fun event. I get to host it. So, and actually I'm working on a surprise. I don't know if I'll pull it off yet, but I was on the phone with my surprise this morning trying to figure out how to incorporate him or her into Watercolor Live as a surprise. So we'll see. You never know. I was always trying new things.
Absolutely.
All right. We will put your website and all of your information. If you want to know about that, Amadine's going to put it in the comments now. Young, it's been a pleasure. You and I met. You reminded me that we met in Portland, Oregon. I was in town for some reason. I don't remember what it was. And then there was like a cocktail party at some hotel, and I got to meet a lot of folks around Portland, and that was really fun. So thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.